When there's blind math, there's also a podcast. And today on the podcast, we have Absolute Zero, as we usually do. And we have someone very special who's... I don't think he fully understands why he's here right now. But his name is Fuzz. Christopher Fuzz. Is that how I should address you, Christopher Fuzz?
That's fine.
Okay, good.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, so Chris, by the way, there's some intro song probably. It's whatever it is. It's by Chris's something. We're not sure what it is, but
yeah, I don't know. Probably, and I don't want to do that song.
Yeah, they're a great band. I love them. Doesn't Tommy write a lot of the songs for that band?
Yeah, me and Tommy write all the songs for that band.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was telling me once the other day that he loved jamming with you because you both had a similar vision of the way he described it, of having songs that were like crafted and like written, and at the same time every note is heard, is the way he described it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you play drums, right?
Yeah. I played drums in that band. I wrote a couple of the songs, like fully, like the riffs in guitar and stuff for the band as well. Uh-huh. But I played drums when we play.
Right.
Awesome.
How often do you play guitar?
Not very often at all anymore. Occasionally I pick it up and try to write a riff or something, try to write a song for mostly just I don't want to do that now, sometimes for the Fuzzlers too.
Yeah.
But I haven't played in a band since I was 17 playing guitar.
Oh, right. Since you were 17.
Yeah, so almost 10 years I haven't played guitar in a band.
Where are you from? Like, where did you originate?
South Florida. I grew up mostly in Coral Springs.
Where
it's like by Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I'm from Miami.
Oh, all right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time down there too.
Awesome. South Florida. Woo. We're going to be under the ocean in 100 years.
Unless someone builds a dike.
Can't build a dike in Miami because the limestone is going to like go through the bottom and like flood us anyway. We're fucked. Miami's fucked.
Not even the dikes can save us.
Not even the dikes can save us.
Dikes.
Miami has a lot of dikes. Believe me.
They're they've helped me out with a lot of things. Anyways, so what brought you to Tallahassee?
Well, I had been playing in the Fuzzlers, and we had gone on tour a few times, just doing short Florida tours in Georgia. We'd do down from Georgia and then Florida, and then back up through Florida, back to Georgia. And we did that a few times, and we played the Shark Tank, the house that I live at now, every time we came through town.
Oh, awesome.
And then, so we ended up spending quite a bit of time here because we played here like 3 or 4 times before I actually moved here.
Interesting. So, how old were you when that happened?
Well, I moved to Athens when I was 21.
Oh, okay. So you moved to Athens first.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, because the Fuzzlers is an Athens band for those who don't know, and
yeah.
I really like. I've watched their YouTube videos a couple times, and I really like them. I've always been entertained. Were you there during the inception of the Fuzzlers?
Yeah. It was me and Eddie that came up with the band. It used to just be a like a 2-piece musical project, and then we'd have other people do like props and theatrics and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it used to just be guitar and drums, which was me and Eddie.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
It sounds like it would be tough to just fill up all like the audio space with just 2 pieces. Yeah,
we had the idea of just like early 90s style punk where it's like really snotty and it's nasally vocals, and so like we thought at first it was fine because we were just like we want it to be treble anyways, so we don't need a bass player. We're just going to do guitar and drums and
okay.
Yeah, I honestly I think a lot of times 2-piece bands, I think sometimes people are averse to them, but a lot of times I find a lot of character in 2-piece bands. Like have you ever heard of the Flat Duo Jets?
I haven't.
They're actually Athens. Like they kind of started in Athens. Like they started in North Carolina and then moved to Athens.
Oh, all right.
And they're from back in the day in the 80s. And a lot of bands, like the White Stripes, owe a lot to them. It's a duo, and they're like doing like Elvis type songs and Buddy Holly type songs, you know.
Yeah.
So the White Stripes, I think if it wasn't for the Flat Duo Jets, there would have been no White Stripes. But you know, I wanted to ask you, Chris, because you briefly mentioned the Shark Tank. Oy, sorry. And for those of you who haven't been to the Shark Tank, it's like, I don't know, for me it was like kind of my introduction to Tallahassee, like shows, punk shows, kinda. Like, I don't know, it kind of has a special place in my heart. It's like the best house really for shows, like the way it's designed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot.
And I was wondering, how early on in the Shark Tank's like genesis, did you move in there?
Well, like I said, we had played the Shark Tank like 3 or 4 times before we even moved to Tallahassee. Originally, when I moved down here from Georgia to Tallahassee, me and 2 other fuzzlers moved into a house a couple of streets down from the Shark Tank, called it the Fuzz Hole, and we lived there for like 3 or 4 months, and then they ended up going back to Georgia, and then I stayed on somebody else's couch, and then I stayed on the Shark Tank couch. And then all the guys from the Shark Tank were like graduating and moving and stuff like that. So I got more roommates and took the place over.
Yeah.
And that was in last August.
Oh,
that they left. So I was there probably about 4 months before that. So I've been there not very long.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I knew who the fuck like started that place, because like, do you know who
yeah.
Like, first? Who's the?
Yeah,
does he still live there?
No, like I said, it's the roommates that were there that just left in August.
Yeah.
So, like the Ryan Motkowitz, who plays guitar and writes the songs for Scumbag Dad.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the original people, and Isaac and Jake. And Isaac and Jake still live in town. They don't really go to shows that often anymore. But
yeah, why not? What's happened to Isaac and Jake?
Yeah, edit that out.
No, you know.
Yo.
maybe we'll see them around one of these days.
What has been like the craziest act that you've seen like perform in the Shark Tank?
In the Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Well.
Has anyone done anything like wild or crazy or unexpected? Or
well, yeah. I mean, we had a play come through like recently after I took over. So I guess it was probably in September of last year.
Yeah.
And it was a traveling musical play. So they set up like a whole stage, and they were all behind it because they just had like figures out in the front, and they would switch the lighting onto the different like cardboard cutout figures that were supposed to be speaking at the time, and had the microphones in the back, so they'd speak for the characters, and they'd play like music that went through it.
Oh my god, that must have been like an experience.
Yeah, it was really cool. And one of the guys that ended up playing in the Fuzzlers, because after we broke the 2-piece, then we just were like, okay, anybody can play with us. So all of our friends started playing. So we got like a bass player and a keyboard player and a trumpet player and a trombone player and a saxophone player, and just like,
oh my god,
if you're there, jump on stage and play with us.
Oh wow.
So yeah, our part-time trumpet player Brian was with the play. He was playing trumpet with them, and also doing like acting or whatever with the play.
Okay.
That was a pretty cool show.
Awesome.
So you said the other guy from Fuzzlers, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he at these days?
He lives in Athens.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a house that they do shows at there called the Crab Shack.
Crab Shack.
Nice.
Yeah.
TheCrabShack.com. No, well, that's an. So, how often do you get to jam with them?
Well, we still are pretty active in the Fuzzlers, so like we do tours or at least a little bit of shows, like a couple of days out. Still a couple of times a year.
Oh,
So
awesome.
like, or if there's like a really cool show, I'll try to get Eddie to come down here to play it, or vice versa. If he gets a cool show up there, then I'll get up there and play it.
Where do you miss Athens?
Yeah, Athens is a really cool town.
So like I don't know. It seems like I would assume that you moved to Tallahassee because there's something here that you preferred over Athens.
No, since I've like stopped living with my mother, which I have a couple of times since I stopped. But anyways,
She live in Miami?
She lives in Boca
Boca
Raton.
Raton.
Yeah. But since I've left the nest, I've moved like pretty often. Longest I've stayed anywhere is like 2 years or so, just because I want to see stuff, get around, meet people, shit like that.
Makes sense,
Yeah, so like I lived in DeLand for a little while. I lived in West Palm Beach for a little while.
DeLand.
Yeah, it's near Orlando.
Yeah, I know.
It's death.
Yeah, there's not much there.
Yeah, there's nothing there. There used to be a really cool venue in De Leon Springs, though, which is right outside DeLand, called the Junkyard Saloon, but they closed down last year.
Man, you're like a encyclopedia of houses and places to play punk shows in Florida.
Yo.
What?
But, it's crazy, like, how many different, like, types of places there are in Florida, you know what I mean? Like how different, like, traveling through, you go into, like, the backwaters of nothing to Orlando, which is, like, this tourist destination with, like, Disney World and shit. And then you have, like, Miami, which is just, like, mini South America, like... It's weird. And then Tallahassee's like starting to get like you have to get north of South Florida to start making it into the South. It's weird.
That's absolutely true. That's what whenever someone like, man, I'm from Naples, and I don't know if you've heard Tommy talk about Naples very much, but it's not a good place to live if you're a child, if you're someone under 50.
Yeah, it's the same thing as South Florida where I'm from.
Yeah. So and it's just whenever someone would say that they hated Florida there, I would always want to yell at them because, like, I understand why they're saying that, why they say, I hate Florida. It's because they came from Massachusetts, and the first Florida they met was Naples.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, there's so much Florida. Pensacola is, like, a world of difference from Miami.
Yeah, but the problem with Miami is you don't get Massachusetts people saying they hate it. Now you have New Yorkers saying they hate it, and it's like, dude, like it gets so boring but at the same time, like I understand like where they're coming from.
I don't understand. I don't fuck them. No, I understand kind of. It's
I appreciate it wherever it is though. Like I found if touring around lots of most of the tours I've done are in the South, mostly just in the Southeast. So like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas, New Orleans, stuff like that. And I don't know, if you go in like just accepting what you're getting, you can really enjoy it a lot more than just like looking around for the flaws in it or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're looking to find the scene that you came from, in most other towns you're never going to find that because they have their own scene. Even in like I've been to awesome shows in Fort Myers, and like most of the time it's dead, but there's still like really cool stuff going on there. And South Florida was dead when I left, but now it's awesome with like awesome metal bands coming out of there and hardcore bands and shit.
Yeah. That's a really smart way to look at it because it's really hard to live in an American city and not feel disenfranchised. It's kind of a waste of energy to just complain about your situation. Like I know a lot of people who lived in Tallahassee and are already complaining about it. Like
people gripe about wherever they are.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts. Like when people complain about Tallahassee, because I'm from Naples. It's like to me this is a fucking metropolis. Like like culture like seeping out of every corner. And and I understand where they're coming from, but it's a waste of time to me. It's like just drink a beer and like move on.
For sure.
Speaking of which, we're drinking beer right now. It's very nice.
Just find a pool to go to and invite all your friends, and they will go there with you, and it's amazing.
Life is
if you just accept it. Yeah.
I have one more question to ask you. So, like, what do you get out of touring? Like, do you guys make money on tour?
Nah.
Do you lose money?
Get fun. You lose money. You lose lots of money. It's the funnest thing you could ever do, though. Like, it's completely different from regular life, and like, if you had the people to do it. Like the people that were just like, okay, screw the place that I'm living at right now. Let's just tour. you could make it. Like, you can make it with gas money and whatever food and make it to each town as long as you continue to play shows.
Yeah.
I have lots of friends in bands that just tour constantly. And, you know, some shows they make $20, but some shows they make $150. And, like, it doesn't really cost that much to tour or to live as long as you're willing to sleep on people's floors and sleep in your car when you have to and stuff. But it's, like, a completely different life. It's not only that, but I feel useless all the time because, like, I don't really conform to, like, I don't know, like, I live in a house and, like, I buy groceries and stuff like that, but I'm not, like, I don't have a 9-to-5 job and, like, I'm not successful. I didn't go to college. I dropped out of high school. Like, I don't really fit in with that. So when I'm on tour, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I feel you, man. That's a good perspective to have, man. I feel like a lot of people don't fit into the system, man. I feel like I'm one of those people too, but
yeah, for sure. I mean,
like,
that's why we do this stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, being creative, man, it's like it almost feels like everyone wants you to be creative. Oh, you know, do this, follow your dreams, make it. And then it's like when you actually try and do something like that, they're like, oh my God, but you're not going to be secure. And, you know, they project all of their, like, insecurities onto you for trying to, like, do what you want to do in a way. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, it feels like you're pushed to be creative as long as you don't do anything creative. You know, don't be an individual. But, you know.
As long as you're within the box.
Yeah, as long as you're within the box.
That's absolutely true, you know. It's I don't know, it's really hard to exist in this world sometimes. Like, before we started the podcast, Zero was saying how he was thinking about politics and it just made him angry, right?
Basically.
You were just sitting around thinking about, like, the world, and you just got really pissed
off.
Really
pissed off, man.
I've had days like that. Seriously, I've had days where I called out of work. Like, I just read something, and it's just like, you read something about, like, the current state of affairs, like something that your government did, and it's just clearly fucked up, or, you know, the way things are going, and it's just like, I've definitely had times where I'm not able to even get out of bed. Just, I don't want to deal with any of it.
Yeah. I don't want to live in this world anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a Planet B that we could go to?
Planet B.
And there's so many problems in the world that sometimes you just get bogged down in how fucked everything is.
Yeah.
But then again, there's so much good in the world too, and, like, just
plus we live with a lot of privilege. Like, we live in a pretty nice place.
That's true too.
Yeah, I think about that all the time, like how lucky I am. I mean, I'm going to college right now, and I mean, although I did well in high school and got, like, good grades and got my scholarship, if it wasn't for, like, who came before me, my ancestors, you know, like my grandfather, my parents, like, I would not be able to do this, you know. I realize I'm super lucky, and it's kind of, like, weird, you know, whenever you hear about people with, like, white guilt, it's like sometimes I really want to just get mad at them. Like, it's like, what do you, like, why are you complaining about your guilt? Like, you know what I mean? Like, my guilt, like, why should I feel guilty that I'm lucky? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I guess.
That's the exact reason you stay because you're lucky.
Yeah, I got some white guilt.
Well, okay. I mean, all right. It's like, okay, I understand. I have guilt maybe that I'm not taking advantage of the fact that I'm lucky enough to go to college and, you know, have these things that, you know, came from people that came before me. But at the same time, it seems like something not even worth complaining about. Like,
no, you're totally right. And, like, the idea that there is guilt for that is just saying that you're not playing into this mold that they made for you beforehand. Like, you have the option of doing this great thing. I quoted that for the podcast listeners. But it's not, it might not be what you intend to do at all, though. It's just a system that we all live within, so we're supposed to do these certain things, like he was talking about earlier. You want to be creative, but people tell you that it's not safe. And when people merit success on creativity, they still merit the success by the amount of money you make from that, and not from whatever you get from it. Like, that's, or how much it affects somebody else, or how you feel when you do it, or whatever.
Yeah. I know what you mean, man. Like, that's not where you're supposed to be putting your effort. It's kind of, it's just like whenever I think about white guilt, I changing the levels here. Whenever I think about white guilt, I just think, like, I would much rather have white guilt than driving down the street and the cops think I'm doing something illegal just because of the way I look. You know?
Wait,
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
but like, I think you're like shooting your own argument in the foot. Like, did you hear what you just said? Like,
what do you mean?
You're like, I would rather have white guilt than be a minority.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's exactly why people are guilty, because they don't have to deal with that. That's what we're. That's, I don't know.
Well,
like your point was counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying that?
You're saying you would rather have white guilt than be a minority and get stereotyped, get negative stereotypes.
Yeah.
But the fact that
The white
people
guilt
don't
is
have,
because you don't get stereotyped.
yeah, that's so you feel guilty about.
Well,
that.
I don't. Yeah. Well, no. I think where I feel guilty, it's not that. I don't feel guilty about that. I mean, fuck. Like, why should I feel guilty that I'm not getting fucked with? I feel
You totally
guilty.
shouldn't feel guilty.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense to have some grief about it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I have
you
grief.
did nothing to do that.
Yeah.
You're just whatever the fuck formed you out of
Right.
the universe, and you happen to be this version of that instead of this other version that gets fucking stereotyped and harassed all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, it's not that I have guilt. It's where the guilt comes from is when I think about my ancestors. You know, although I'm Jewish and like most of my ancestors didn't really play into that shit, there's some. I think there's like one member of my family back in the day who fought for the South. You know, and I feel. But the thing is, like, there's no reason for me to feel guilty about someone I never met. You know.
No.
But there's all kinds of people who, that's where their white guilt comes from. They know that they're part of the system. Like, I was talking to Parker the other day, and he said he was talking to his mom, and his mom was saying, like, oh, if I was back then, I would never have a slave. I would never do this. And Parker was like, you know what, Mom? You probably would have had a slave. Like, despite what you're saying, like,
I mean, if she was rich.
Well, the thing is, she's, like, liberal, and she thinks that just because she's liberal now, she would have been liberal then. But it's like, yeah, and like, if she's like, he was like, we're white, we're like fairly decent, like we're doing all right, there's a decent chance we would have had a slave, and I don't know, to me, it's like a lot of times, like, people try to pretend like they wouldn't have done these terrible things, but they would have.
I mean, I would just ask her like, where her shoes came from, where the clothes she's wearing come from.
She has a slave.
Who picked your vegetables that you're eating?
Yeah.
Like, just because it's like not in, like, the only difference is they're not right in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like.
Yeah, and they get like 17 cents an hour, so.
Not even. Like, I think it's 17 cents a basket, and it's like a 100-pound basket of oranges. I get 17 cents for that.
Yeah, man, it's depressing, man, and you're just like, man, how do you even fix shit like this? And you're just like, yeah, fuck it.
You don't.
Fuck it.
You
Fuck
don't
it
fix
off.
it. Pretty much accept it for what it is. As Chris opens another beer.
Sorry about that.
How?
We were talking about two pieces earlier, though, so
Oh,
I'm gonna jump back to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something I really enjoy about the two-piece, which I used to see all the time in this band from Athens called Cars Can Be Blue.
Uh-huh.
It's like a garage rock band, and there's this charisma that you get with a two-piece band, or like, I don't even know. It's you can't do it with a bigger band because you can't play on each other as much.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you can on the fly change a song,
Yeah.
or change the end of a song, or
Yeah.
change a bridge of a song, or something really quick, smoothly. And not only that, but you can like see the energy between the two people when they're playing on stage.
Yeah.
That's something I always really liked about two-piece bands.
There's something there. You're absolutely right about that. Like, when I looked at the Flat Duo Jets like songs, the Flat Duo Jets again were this two-piece band from North Carolina / Athens, and they played those type bluesy types of songs that like the kind of beginning of blues punk type stuff. At least hardcore blues punk type stuff.
All right.
the thing is, some people might disagree that they're hardcore, but a lot of the fans who went to their shows were going to a hardcore show and like, oh, look who it is, kind of thing, you know. But I totally agree. You could see them feeding off each other. Also, note on two-piece bands, like the most famous two-piece band of our generation, the White Stripes.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard them say in multiple interviews that they never had a set list. Every time they would just go out, and Jack would be like, well, I feel like playing, you know, hardest button to button, and they would start playing it, and it would sometimes be in a different key, different like structure, different everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't 100% improvise. They knew how to play the songs obviously
Right.
before they went there, but he
Right,
would
there's
just
all these parts where you can loosely change or
and you
Yeah.
feel the communication there.
Mhm.
You know, you feel that you're getting something special. Like sometimes they would play songs that they've never recorded or never played again, just kind of something off the cuff, you know, and it sounded fucking awesome, you know. And
yeah, Eddie and I used to do that stuff all the time. We used to play shows in Athens pretty often when it was just a two-piece. And at the time we were living together, running the house venue called the Creature Castle, which was in Athens, Georgia.
Mhm.
And we would have like jams all the time, like every other day or something. We'd be messing around in music, but we never really wrote anything that stuck. But we'd transfer those over, or little parts that we tweaked of other songs just from playing with each other, or
Mhm.
a lot of the songs are like crowd interactive, so they'd be
Mhm.
tweaked live because we, see this isn't the way this is exactly supposed to go, so we need to give some more time here, or let this note hang out here or something, so that way it fits better for the crowd interactive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. A lot of times when I write songs, they're when I'm jamming with Tarzan on a two-piece setup. But that's my favorite way to write music, honestly, is when I'm playing guitar and there's just a drummer and it's just
Yeah.
you know.
That's the way I've always written in all the bands. Like, we do the same thing with Supersonics. Ogre writes the riffs or whatever, and then we piece them together as we go.
Yeah.
Same thing with I Don't Want to Do That.
Yes. By the way,
Tommy and I will write some riffs, and then we jam it out.
right. By the way, I just want to say all the bands that you're in. On the way here, I was like, "What? Am I forgetting something, Chris?" You're in the Fuzzlers, which we mentioned. You're in this band. I Don't Want to Do That, which we've also mentioned it with Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
You're in Seattle fucking Supersonics,
Yeah.
right? So, do you guys like basketball? Or
Everybody else in the band is sports nerds. I'm not really.
yeah, I was like, you don't really strike me as one.
No, yeah, I was just like the drummer that lives next door.
Okay, yeah. And also scumbag dad, but you said that's kind of falling apart.
Well, it's not that it's falling apart. It's just kind of loose. Like when he comes back into town, sometimes he'll have some new songs, and we'll jam them out. We'll play them at shows and stuff. It's just like he lives in Austin now, and he's like the songwriter, singer.
Is he in any other bands in Austin?
No, he hasn't done anything in Austin yet. He used to play in a band in Tallahassee called Rickety Cricket.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! I think I might have been to one of their shows. The thing of it, I don't know. That's a funny name, Rickety Cricket.
Yeah, it's Always Sunny reference.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Do you watch It's Always Sunny Zero?
I watch it from time to time, but I haven't been too consistent on it. But it is a funny show. I give it that.
Yeah, that reminds me. Have you been watching the new Boondocks?
Yes, I have.
It's
Up
pretty
to
good,
the
man.
most recent episode.
I
I
haven't
didn't
seen
see
it. I haven't seen any past the first 2 episodes yet.
The Breaking Bad episode, which
Yeah.
is episode 3,
So
was
good, man.
hilarious.
Really?
Yeah,
That makes
so
me
good.
happy.
It starts off like literally parroting the beginning of that the first Breaking Bad episode where he like walks in the street in his underwear with a gun in the back of his pocket and he points it down because the cops are coming. It's so good.
Shit, man. I gotta. Man, that makes me happy that you guys say it's good because those first 2 episodes really
Man,
made
I
me
feel
worried.
Like the first 2 episodes, it wasn't. They weren't like those, like. I feel like there's 2 classes of Boondocks episodes. There's like Let's Nab Oprah, where you're laughing from
Yeah.
the beginning
Yeah.
to the end, and then there's like the Block is Hot type episodes, where it's really just like, they're telling a story and they're trying to do something, and I feel like there's always that like dynamic in comedy shows, you know what I mean, where it's just like you can tell a whole bunch of jokes and make it like more slapsticky and more just like cartoony, like Family Guy. Like Family Guy is just like packed with little jokes and
Yeah, it's
making
like
fun of
Mitch
celebrities.
Hedberg wrote it.
Yeah, or it's just like you could be like South Park and be trying to get some message across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like I feel like those first two episodes were just more on the message side.
Yeah, I liked the messages. Like Family Guy, you know, I'll admit there was a time when I was younger I laughed at it, but it fucking annoys the shit out of me because it's like I don't know, I get invested in the storyline and there's literally no concern for the storyline. It seems like the storyline just happens to be there while they tell their stupid fucking quips.
I think
Yeah,
that can
basically.
work for some people. I just think Family Guy is really one-dimensional. So, like, once you've seen 5 episodes of Family Guy, you don't need to watch anymore because
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
going to surprise you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas,
That's
like, there's
the
lots of
real
shows,
problem.
like, there's this cartoon, this 90s cartoon called Freakazoid. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Yeah.
But, like, they will abandon the plot at, like, the drop of a hat. But it's hilarious. It's a kid's show,
Yeah.
but it's hilarious. They have no regard for it. They break the fourth wall all the time. Like, it's really
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Well, that's nice. I like to break the fourth wall. So,
Yeah.
speaking of that, Jeff, our only listener, his name is Jeff.
Yeah.
I know. We actually have met a few people who have said that they listen to our podcast, which always surprises me. So, to you who is actually listening to the podcast, good for you. You've stuck through it this long. We're about 31 minutes in. So, you know.
Yeah, man, we always get like at least
Jeff, you
30.
a bitch.
Hey,
Well-
don't talk to Jeff like that. He's my friend.
Yeah. We love you, Jeff.
He's not a bitch. He's a butch. I don't know. That's not much better.
Yeah, I think you saved him there. That wasn't me, Jeff.
Like something that I wonder too, like now that like YouTube is a place that's just pumping out so much content, and you know there's some of these personalities that are doing YouTube full time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wonder, like with their archives, like how long into the future will their material remain relevant, remain available?
Yeah.
Will we look back like 5 years from now to
No,
like
man, it'll be dead.
to like a
It'll
certain
be like public
content?
access TV, dude. It'll be gone.
I don't
For sure.
Like it's so
Anything
weird,
that's good,
man.
like it stands out.
Yeah.
What about like?
But I don't know.
Certain channels.
There's some things you go back to, certain shows, and you're like, man, that show is amazing. Like it has like that timeless quality. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like Star Trek fans will watch,
Yeah.
old Star Trek. I know it happens with anime a whole bunch, where like an older series will be super popular, like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop's
So-
awesome.
It is awesome.
There will be some
but
YouTube
like I feel like
things.
that's like timeless. The same thing with movies. Like a lot of movies are just like
Yeah, The
they're just
Godfather's not going
timeless.
anywer. Citizen
Yeah.
Kane's sticking around forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was disappointed when I saw The Godfather. I don't know what I was
Really?
expecting. I've only seen part 1.
That's the best one.
Yeah, it's pretty
People
good.
say 2's better. I don't know. 1's the best.
I do love Francis Ford Coppola though. Like Apocalypse Now is a fucking crazy movie. I'm assuming you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Zero?
Nah,
Oh, you got to get on that, man. That movie is fucking bananas.
I don't know. I'm not too big into movies,
Oh.
which I feel like everyone else is.
No,
I
I
just
mean,
feels
it's
like
up,
they're just so
it's up
weird,
to you,
man.
Holmes.
And I fucking hate Star Wars. We just lost Jeffrey.
You don't
Jeffrey's
you
like,
don't
"No
even like the
more."
originals?
No, I
What about
hate
Star
them.
Trek?
Jeffrey.
I hate them. I never really watched Star Trek. I might like Star Trek, but
If you
Star Wars.
if you like series, like drama series, like Next Generation and Deep Space Nine are some of the best TV that's been.
You know what? I will check it out just because you told me to.
Oh wow,
But-
Chris, you should tell him to do something else. See what
All right.
happens.
Heroin.
Have you ever
I mean,
tried it?
technically, I have.
Technically,
because it's like almost the same as like the other opioids. So it's like
Oxy.
like I had
yeah.
hydrocodone. Like that was
Yeah,
like
it
I
is-
didn't
it's
like it.
No,
It's different.
OxyContin would be
I-
a little closer, but yeah,
Oxycontin?
hydrocodone's like that's
Like-
pretty weak.
Pretty weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done heroin, Chris?
I've never done heroin.
No. Well,
Never
that's
done
good.
heroin.
Good for you.
Never done heroin.
Is it Do you have anything against heroin?
I
or-
don't like needles, and like you have to get really good heroin in order to smoke it or snort it. So
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
that's pretty much that.
it's probably good that
Like
you
if,
said
if
no.
I could have a doctor that would be like, this is clean heroin, and I'm going to cleanly inject it into you, and I could like look away, I'd probably do the shit out of that heroin.
I probably.
It seems like an interesting experience. I've done a lot of drugs, and you know, as long as you don't let yourself get wrapped up in it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, how old are you?
26.
You see, I'm gonna turn 23 in like a couple weeks, or about a month. But I could never do it because I know how impressionable I am. Like that, you know. I don't know. I try not to do too many drugs because I know how many people are doing drugs around me who are, you know, I get offered cocaine a lot, and I don't do cocaine, and you know, whenever I tell people I don't, like, there's usually this, I mean, sometimes there's people who just are like, come on, just fucking do the cocaine,
right?
And like they're mad that I'm not doing cocaine while they're doing cocaine, and it kind of annoys me because it's like, man, if I was to smoke weed around you and you weren't smoking, I wouldn't care like two shits, like more weed for me, and you know, like, but it's just sometimes I think that it's just everybody who's done cocaine tells me I don't have an addictive personality. I'm not going to get addicted to cocaine. But statistically, that's not true. Someone there has an addictive personality, and someone is going to get wrapped up in it, right?
I think
Sure.
It's going to happen. And, like, that's why I'm, like, the thing is, I have a feeling one day I'll do all that shit. You know, I mean, you've seen, like, Little Miss Sunshine, the old grandpa who's doing heroin.
Yeah.
I could see myself being that, like being like 95, like everybody that I know is dead, like fucking might as well do heroin, like. But like for now, it's just like I'm so young and impressionable. I feel like I'd fuck it up. Is all.
Well, and you definitely shouldn't. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, you should not do anything.
I feel like you shouldn't do what you don't want to.
Yeah,
but
sure.
like, welcome to my world, dude.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And people don't believe me.
I know.
That, like,
It took me a while
like-
to believe you.
it's like, okay.
I thought you were sneaking shots, like just like fucking with me this whole time.
Man. It's like everyone asks you like why, and all right, just this once, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, and your
I would
friend.
never say that to somebody who doesn't drink.
It's
Just this
it's
once.
weird.
It's silly, and it's funny because like I've seen your friends like try to get you to smoke weed. Like
I mean,
I
I'll
remember
do
one
it every once in a while.
I know, but it's just I don't know. I remember this one time you like smoke and drank. It was like the only time I've ever seen you do this, and it was just a shit. Do you mind if I tell this story?
I don't think I drank that. But go for it, man.
Sorry, but like
I
so
think I just smoked.
zero. Yeah, no, I think you had like one drink.
I don't know. I'm
But-
pretty sure I didn't. But continue.
Anyways, you were smoking, and at first it was good. You know, you were smoking. You were like you seemed normal, and even as much as you wanted more. I remember we smoked, and then we ran out of weed, and we were like, well, let's go on a weed run, and we went, and you drove, and you were like, yeah, I'm down, and you were like the whole time you're like, I'm not really high, like I want to get more, and so we're like, fuck, Zero's smoking today. Zero never smokes. This is exciting, and we got it. We came back. We smoked some more. About an hour later, I see Zero's face like turn like wishy-washy, like a washing machine. And his he just stood up, walked over to the sidewalk, and just bent over and released all of his insides onto the ground.
Yeah, this is not how that story happened at all.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, but you were also too drunk to drive.
Yeah, but like,
the story was all wrong.
Well, okay, but the point is, you smoked weed and you threw up, right?
I smoked weed and I threw up.
Right, and I remember like
happen.
the next a couple of days later, we were with Fleetwood, who's another he's a musician in Gainesville. He's a rapper. He's good and whatnot. But anyways, we were with Fleetwood, and I was like, he was like saying trying to convince you to smoke, and I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I've seen Zero smoke. I'm gonna have to take his side here. Maybe he shouldn't smoke. You know, he's not built to smoke. And he was like, what happened? I was like, well, he puked a bit. He's like, what's a few pints between friends? That's what he said. What's a few drops between friends? And I just laughed. I was just like, he really wants you to smoke that bad. Like,
I don't know. It's not that only happened one time, but it's just like the way I approach marijuana is like, I'm already pretty paranoid as a person. And when I smoke, I get really paranoid.
yeah, I mean, fun. Like, there's no reason to do it if you don't have fun. I mean, why should you do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's
You
like-
see, there's a window in which I have fun, and I just always like take it like one step past that and get too high.
Yeah, you
Stick
gotta.
your head out the window.
That's always that's
Yeah.
the fucking problem, man. That's I call it alcoholism right there. Like I like what your friends who like, it's fun to drink with them, but they always are the ones to just do some belligerent shit. You know, like I have friends. I'll be drinking with them. It's like a Wednesday. We're having a couple beers, right? It's like normal. And I'd go to drop them off, and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna go drink some more." I'm like, aren't you alone tonight?" They're like, "Yeah." Like we just drank, and you're gonna drink some more alone, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's an alcoholic. Like this guy just needs to be alone drinking. You know, it seems like everybody I know who has this problem, they can't just be happy just being drunk. They have to keep drinking. It's just the act of you can't just ride the wave. There's never a point in your drunk where you're just happy. You just got to keep drinking. For me, I like to ride the wave. Right now, I'm riding the wave right now. I've had a beer, you know, feel happy on the podcast. Are you riding the wave, Chris?
I think I'm on that other side, like the alcoholic side, where I just like to keep drinking the entire time. So I don't really judge the alcoholics, unlike you.
I don't not judging. I'm just saying. I don't care. I'll give alcoholics booze all the time. I don't care.
You just did.
Yeah, I don't fucking care. I never cared.
So you said you tried a lot of drugs. What is the best and what's the worst?
What's the best?
What's the best and what's the worst? No, real shit.
I know.
Real good shit. I mean, if he feels
The best drug that I've ever done is mescaline.
mescaline.
Really?
Yeah, it's a psychedelic made from peyote.
Yeah, I've wanted to do peyote or mescaline. Yeah.
I wanted to do.
That is the best. I really
DM.
like psychedelics though. So like I really like mushrooms and acid and all that stuff.
What is it about mescaline that you like?
It just has this. It's the smoothest. Like mushrooms are like second, but the trip is short. Like mushrooms will give you like a 5-hour trip. If you do some good mushrooms, maybe it'll give you like an 8-hour trip. You still have to do like a bunch of them. Mescaline gives you like a 14-hour trip, and the whole thing feels smooth like mushrooms does. Whereas like acid kind of always has this like jittery feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Interesting.
Dave, have you ever done dimethyltryptamine?
Yeah,
I wanted to try that, but
that sends you into space.
That's
Yeah.
DMT, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
That's
Using
different
using
than
the
most
chemistry term
psychedelics.
here.
Yeah, and it's like you. But one thing about it, I was like, I don't want to smoke it. I
That's
was
how
like,
you have to do it.
You literally have to do it that
Yeah.
way, unless you can make what is it like? I know there's a way you can make it
maybe.
edible, but if you have to
Edible? No. You might be able to make it intravenous.
nah, what it is I know they do it like in the Amazon or whatever.
Yeah,
they
ayahuasca.
Oh, they make tea.
Ayahuasca, yeah,
with ayahuasca.
Yeah, they
you're
add
right.
something else that
You would
makes it
not
not
want to
break
do it
down.
that way, though.
Yeah, that. Wait, oh, is it that bad?
The trip is the most intense trip you could ever imagine having in your entire life. Like, you leave the planet. Like, seriously, it's hard to describe.
Leave
like
the planet.
Yeah, you're not here anymore. Like, when you do mushrooms or acid or whatever, everything around you is kind of altered.
Yeah.
When you do DMT,
Yeah.
you're not here anymore. You fucking
Yeah.
you black out and you go to a fucking geometric city of craziness while you're
Yeah.
flying through
Like
landscapes.
Inception.
You see, I want that though. You see, like
Well,
just
It's
just
crazy,
so I can
but yeah,
experience it. 'Cause
if you want to do it that way, you should just smoke it because that only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes. Whereas
Yeah.
if you do with ayahuasca, it does the same thing for like 10 hours. You don't want to do that for 10 hours. dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I heard a story about this
He
guy.
said, I don't want to do that.
I don't
for
know.
That sounds bad. I heard this
Yeah, that
story
does
about
sound
this
like a
guy,
long
Ari
time.
Shafir. He did DMT,
Mhm.
and, you know, it's like you said, 15 minutes or
hours.
whatever.
Shit.
And he said that during his trip, he turned into a fish. He went into a lake, and he lived in that lake with a family of fish for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he was up, like, the whole 2 years took place, and, like, he said he remembers, like, days and months going by. You know what I mean? And this is 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Imagine if you're 14 hours.
People like meet people and develop relationships with people
Mm-hmm.
that don't exist in this
Oh,
crazy
wow.
like city that their mind can't even imagine. That's like, just like building and destroying in front of their eyes and stuff. It's
Yeah.
way different than anything else.
Yeah, maybe that's like a way to trip into another dimension. Like, what if you go through a
It's
wormhole?
in like everything too. It's
Yeah,
it's in a fucking squirrel. It's in your bush outside. It's in
grass.
that tree. It's in the grass. It's really weird.
Let's go get
Your
some.
brain
Fuck.
produces it naturally.
Yeah, your brain.
It has a
produces
lot to
naturally.
do with. I know that the chemical has a lot to do with like your sleep-wake cycle, and I like.
Also dying.
Yeah.
When you die, your brain releases DMT. I'm
It's-
gonna pee though.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
I'll
there's
just
a
talk to
bathroom right
Zero.
there or out in the hall. Probably in the hall is your best.
Chris Fuzz is
Just pee in
going
the
to
hall?
pee.
Yeah, just
Pee in the hall. Pee in the hall.
Any place you find.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, man. DMT.
DMT is some shit right there. And during that whole thing, I was fucking with the levels on this interface.
Did you get it right?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I just didn't want to. I didn't want too much echo. If there's echo on this, guys, I'm sorry. Actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. You're the ones who decided to listen to this. No.
Yeah, we have no creative desire to improve. We just do it like it is, like those old British. Damn it! I was trying to remember, like, because I saw this documentary about these British bands who couldn't play their instruments
Oh.
and were starting this like punk scene in Britain or something.
Oh well, that doesn't. A lot of them were like.
They
I
were
mean,
just,
that's how a
like,
lot of punk
slamming
bands
on
get
their
started.
instruments, but it like they didn't really know how to play them or some weird shit. They all had mohawks
They all had
and
mohawks.
like colored hair.
Well, that again, you're not narrowing it down. A lot of a lot
I'm
of
not.
British punk bands were like that back in the day. Maybe
Hey,
Chris
man.
will know. A British punk band with mohawks
It was a documentary.
who
I
didn't
had
know how to play
watch
their instruments.
in
Does that
college.
narrow it down for you?
Sex Pistols. Crass. Sorry to all
There's
the
this
punks out there.
I know there's this one band from Scotland who had a lot of racist stuff.
Oh, really?
Screwdriver.
I don't know. Is that it? Maybe.
There's this band from the UK. They used to be like a punk band, but then like they got a new front man and they started making racist songs. I don't know. This is terrible shit. I don't know why anybody cares about
do
this
you-
shit anyways. It's
do you like
really
any-
terrible music anyways.
Do you like any racist music?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang. I'm just joshing.
9%ers, man.
Wu-Tang, they're so racist. They use the N-word so much.
All the time, dude.
They're Muslim extremists.
Are there? Is ODB a Muslim?
I think they're all Muslim.
Really? All of them?
I
Yeah.
seriously doubt that.
Yeah, I think they are.
Well, they're not like practicing. They all
Well-
definitely drink.
Well, like all the shit they put into like the music is like, isn't that the 9%ers or whatever? Isn't that
Well,
what it's
yeah. I
called?
mean, Nation of
Oh,
Islam's
yeah.
different.
Yeah, so like they were all like in that culture and they like put it in their music and shit. So yeah, pretty sure they're all.
You know, Dave Chappelle's a Muslim.
Uh,
Not that that has
Yeah.
any relevance.
I mean,
I mean,
it
he's,
is
he's
what it
still
is.
like one of those. I don't know.
but the Nation of
If you
Islam
call-
is a different animal than like what we're used to in terms of Islam
Yeah.
from the news. You know, Nation of Islam almost makes sense to me. You know, I mean, although all religion is bullshit to me, like I think Nation of Islam, if you're like if you're already black, you
I
know,
don't know.
and like
If you're already black,
and
They
like
kind of do get a bit extreme, but I'll just.
yeah, well, I mean, of course they do, man. I mean, every
they
religion.
kicked out Muhammad Ali. That ain't
Yeah.
right, man.
Did they actually kick him out?
They kicked him out.
They kicked him out.
Yeah, but then brought
They-
him back in.
They kick out a lot of people.
Yeah, they kicked him.
They got pissed off at
It's like
Malcolm
the
X.
it's like the celebrity version of Muslim now. Like it doesn't.
Yeah. Soon enough, like celebrities, like kind of like Madonna becoming a Jew. Like all celebrities are gonna become the Nation of Islam.
Well, right, but if there was like a sect like the Nation of Israel, and they were just like policing all these celebrities that are claiming to be Jewish.
Yeah, that would be some weird shit, man.
Hey, man.
So what did we learn in the podcast today? We're at minute 50, actually 49. But
That drugs are fun and children should be encouraged to experiment with reality.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you should just do whatever you feel like, unless it hurts somebody.
yeah. Also,
Freedom.
yeah, we learned that Wu-Tang Clan is racist. We
No,
learned
no, no. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
We-
we put on a hit list.
We also learned that we don't want to live in this world anymore. We learned that
shit.
heroin can be a very good idea if it's administered by a doctor, a trained
I
professional.
still think like if I have so many junkie friends, so if they were just like, this is clean stuff, this is a clean stick right here, and they hooked me up, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, you think so?
I've done a lot of opiates. I've done a lot of drugs, and like I definitely have that personality where I could get hooked, but like I've also grew up in a terrible enough neighborhood to watch enough of my friends die from overdoses to not become a fiend.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen that happen to half the people that I knew when I was growing up are in jail or fucking hooked on some shit or OD'd.
Where did you grow up in Cape? Or what did you?
I grew up in Coral Springs.
Coral Springs.
I also lived in this trailer park in Boca for a bit. That's where most of my junkie friends are from. When you think Boca, you think like a rich area, but in reality, there's some terrible shit there.
No, I believe, dude. That's how
Same
Naples
as West
is.
Palm Beach. Like West Palm Beach is some fucking scary ass places that you'd never want to walk through.
Something that always amazed me, like, do you know? Have you ever been or heard of Overtown?
Ogre Town?
Yeah,
No.
in Miami. It's like
Overtown?
Yeah, Overtown.
Yeah, Overtown.
Yeah, and it's like it's only a couple blocks, but they have like some ridiculous amount of shootings in that area. They're always on First 48. Like if you see that show,
Yeah.
it's probably Overtown.
Yeah, I heard a really great story about Overtown. A friend of mine, a dude I met, he's in some physics classes. He lived in Overtown for a while.
Yeah.
And I told you the story. He was saying when he lived in Overtown, anything they put on their outside, like on their front yard, then by the next day or not even that, like it would be gone. And they would be like, "Well, the ghetto ate our TV, it just ate it," and like someone would come and take it, obviously. Like, and they would just put out like bags of shit. Like he said one time they would put out like this bags of like scraps of clothing. Like there's not even full shirts, just like scraps of stuff. It's like they were arguing, like, there's no way anyone's going to take that. And while they were arguing, some, like, crackhead came by and just grabbed it and picked it up and took it away. And another time, they put out, like, a big, like, a TV thing, like, a big, like, piece of furniture. Like, what do you call those things? Like a cabinet or whatever.
Yeah, home entertainment center shit.
Yeah, a big thing, right? And they put it out there, and it was really heavy, right? And he saw once a crackhead try to grab it and, like, move it, like to go sell it somewhere, but it was just but it was just too heavy, and he lost his like will, and he just like said fuck it and left it there. And he said that for the next week he noticed the thing would like move back and forth on his street, up and down, like notice because crackheads,
like a couple of feet.
Yeah, crackheads would like pick it up, be like, oh well, great, they'd like try it, and then just be too heavy, and they'd be like, fuck this, I'm not selling this, like just give up.
And now to finish my story.
Oh wait, what was it? Did I interrupt your story?
Yes.
I thought you were just talking. Sorry.
Gosh, sick. But yeah, to finish my story, I always got surprised because it's like in the heart of the city, like downtown and shit, and literally like 3 blocks from like the worst area in Miami, there is a foreign car dealership with like Lamborghinis and shit. There's like a antique place and like a fine art gallery, like just right there. And I'm just like, man, this is such like a contrast. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck did I go 2 blocks?
Yeah.
And literally, like, it went from like the poorest of people to like shit that there's no earthly way I could ever, even imagine to afford anything that would be sold here.
Yeah, that's how America is, man. America's going through some weird shit right now.
Yeah, man. Economic stratification.
Yeah.
There's another round of those McDonald's strikes too.
Yeah, it's really like the natural progression of things. It's just these cities, they're designed poorly.
Yeah.
Like the shittiest areas are the most desirable places to live. And the best places to live should be the shittiest areas.
But also, like, a lot of cities are, like, facing the fact that, like, you still, like, even no matter how much wealth your city has, you still need people, you still need poor people to do the jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, if you, like, because, like, there's
that's
areas in Miami where it's, like, super rich, and, they have buses there because they still need maids to clean their mansions, and their estates and shit. And like, if the prices get too high to like live, you know what I mean? You're really gonna shoot yourself in the foot because you still need these people. You know what I mean? Like, we're all in it together, and I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate that fact.
That's absolutely true. You know, this we kind of live in this society where it's so individualist at this point. Like you grow up and you're told like you're gonna move out of your parents' house, you're gonna get your own shit, you're gonna make your own way. Like, fuck everything else. You're completely on your own once you move out, and in some ways it's good and in some ways it's bad because we end up forgetting about people. You know, people see homeless and they think, well, what did he do to get there? You know, as if this person, you know, inflicted this on themselves necessarily, even though it's clear if you look at the like statistics, like it's just not always the case. You know, a huge number of homeless people are like veterans who just had some serious
mentally
crazy-
disabled.
Veteran, mentally
exactly.
ill. Yeah, like I feel like our society just has like that's one of the other things frustrating about American society is just that we forget about people. We just like jail them or like label them insane and you know just YOLO.
I think it's that fucking. I think it's that number one mentality.
Problems.
Just the idea that you just have to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like, there's I don't know. I always think of that expression. It takes a village.
Yeah.
There aren't villages anymore.
Yeah.
We live in
are.
communities. We live next door to people that we don't fucking know at all. All the time. Nobody communicates with anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the people that are around them. When in reality, if you just knew everybody that was around you, you could take care of your shit way fucking easier.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody robbed your house, somebody be looking out for your house.
Yeah.
I mean, if the police that policed your neighborhood lived in your fucking neighborhood, they wouldn't take you to jail. They wouldn't. I mean, maybe they take you to jail, but they wouldn't beat you. They wouldn't taser you for no reason.
Yeah.
They wouldn't treat you like a piece of shit because you're Freddy's kid.
Yeah. Yo,
As opposed to just some detached person that they don't care about.
you just reminded me of this statistic that was like the crime rate in the last 10 years has gone down 22%, and the incarceration rate has gone up 222%.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Dude, I gotta get out of this country.
Yeah.
I think
And
about
that's
this
what
a
I'm
lot.
saying,
Like,
though,
how the
but, like,
fuck am I gonna become an expat?
Once you get into the prison system, it's just like a wrap. It's just like you're forgotten.
You're
you don't
done.
matter. You're done, and it's just
The
like
best life you'll have for yourself is in prison after that point.
it's
mostly.
just like I
Most of
know
the time.
so many people who like they finished their sentence, they paid all the fees, they did all this bullshit, and it's like now they can't get a job anywhere. They can't even get a McDonald's job. They can't get shit.
It is,
And it's just like it's just like it's so ridiculous to me. Like I understand that you if you're doing a business, you want to know what the person did in the past. But isn't the whole point of like releasing the prisoners or whatever, like releasing them like after they served it, that like that was their punishment?
Yeah,
you
they're
know what I mean?
rehabilitated now.
Like it doesn't make any sense in so many fucking ways. It's just like they just continue to be punished.
Yeah.
Forever.
They can't vote. They're just there's so much. I mean, not that they would want to, but it's just there's so much that they remove from them just because because of the circumstances. Like if you've seen The Wire, the girl who played Snoop, the assassin Snoop, Marlowe's assassin Snoop, she was like the reason she got that part is because when she was 15, she was living in Baltimore, and there was like on her corner there was like some problem, and she shot someone. Basically, she went to jail, and she didn't know what the fuck. She was young as shit. She didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Like this is how Baltimore works. Anyway, so she went to jail. She got out, and every place she applied, she might get the job, but as soon as they find out her history, they'd fire her, and she'd be back on the street, and like she couldn't starve. So of course she started selling drugs. Like, what else could she do? Nobody else, like, that was her, she was legitimately trying to get jobs. She was in multiple jobs, and they just kept firing her and firing her and firing her. Lucky for her, The Wire was made, and they hired her to be an actress because she pretty much was the character that she was playing.
Yeah.
Minus she wasn't as much of a killer. But, But still, like, that's not that. That's a very common story.
Yeah, no, man. We like most of our like legal system. And that's the other thing I was thinking about. I was thinking about how can we make the legal system like less bullshit? Because I feel like the way it is right now, like I can't go to the legal system with a problem and like get a result. Like even if I had a problem that the legal system could legitimately address, like I can't take it because I don't have the money to like hire a lawyer and pay for expert witnesses, which is just basically what the system boils down to. It's just like how many expert witnesses can I put on my side, and then they're gonna put their experts, and we're gonna money this out. You know what I mean? And so it's just like the prison system is just like mostly like just I don't know. But I'm ranting, and I should probably save this for another time because we're getting close to.
Yeah, we're at an hour. Chris is looking for his backpack.
I was just looking for a beer, guys. Don't worry, I'm back with you.
Well, that's unfortunate because I wanted to ask you about all kinds of. I wanted to ask you about your viewpoint of science and also about your viewpoint of digital versus analog. Okay. I should stop saying versus, probably. But I don't know. Maybe we'll discuss.
Just go for it, dog.
Go for it, man.
Okay, so all right, let me ask you about science. Like, do you have any kind of viewpoint on understanding science in terms of influencing your own worldly exploits? Are you interested by science at all?
Well, I'm definitely not. Definitely not a religious type.
Mm-hmm.
So I subscribe to the science aspect of everything that's around me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in a what do you call that? Intelligent design.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in evolution.
How could you not? Well, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of crazy. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah, but I'm also not overly educated on any aspect of science. Probably under. I dropped out of high school when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done school since then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my grasp on most science probably isn't great.
You're not a scientician.
Not a scientician. I also didn't know about that word until right now.
That's okay, man. I mean, like, but you respect it, though. It seems, in some way.
Well, that's the school I subscribe to for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer just the idea of something like that. You look into what you talk about as opposed to just talking about things.
There.
Which
peer review.
Which is my view of religion. Like some fucking whack job wrote some shit and
everyone's like, "Oh yeah, must be."
A bunch of other people compiled their whack jobness and.
Yeah. Science. I think what makes science good is that it doesn't assume it's right. Science wants to be wrong.
No, yeah, it always wants to be wrong.
That.
And the most exciting thing in science is when science is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if someone tomorrow was like, "Oh, turns out natural selection isn't the whole story."
Yeah.
And
it's not
get a
gravity.
Nobel Prize.
It's not gravity. It's a really strong breeze that pushes everything
yeah,
down.
like people would freak the fuck out.
That'd be way more interesting.
Yeah, precisely. All right, so that's science. All right, next.
All right, digital versus analog. I have literally no experience with recording in analog. I've only recorded in digital.
Well, yeah. Well, of course.
So yeah, I don't really have much to say on that.
Well, I guess
I've heard analog recordings and I've heard digital recordings.
Yeah. Well, the question isn't so much about recording because obviously, for us, like we're broke people. We're not. I don't have a fucking like vinyl like pressing studio.
Right.
I mean, come on. But and you can get pretty good quality with digital waves and whatnot.
The Fuzzlers have a vinyl.
You do?
Yeah, we did a vinyl split with Mr. Clit and the Pink Cigarettes. They're a band, garage band from Indiana.
Could one purchase such a
For sure.
product?
Yeah.
Where would
just hit us up on the internet, or you're right here. So.
www.internet.com/fuzzlers.
Yeah, internet.com. I mean, if you were if for some reason somebody were interested in purchasing that, you would just like hit us up and we would personally mail it to you. So like, if you just Google the Fuzzlers,
yeah, we're gonna put
Facebook
your Facebook in the description. So
cool.
Though I think we did it in the last video, anyways. But fuck it, we're gonna put it again.
Yeah, but fuck it.
Yeah, because Tommy's in like all of your bands pretty much.
Yeah. After we moved here, we needed a bass player for tour. Actually, even weirder than that, we were going on tour with the Fuzzlers. Ryan Motkowitz, who does Rickety Cricket and Scumbag Dad and was one of the first residents at the Shark Tank, went on tour with us, and he was playing bass with the Fuzzlers at the time because he's a pretty good guitar player. He can play bass and shit. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of that tour, like right before we left on tour, we had an extra seat because somebody bailed on us. So then Tommy was like, I'll go. So Tommy came with us, and then in the middle of that tour, we realized that he could play bass.
He's fucking good.
Yeah, he's a good musician.
Yeah. Don't you love Tommy? Isn't Tommy a sweetie pie?
He's great.
Yeah. He never talks unless he's drunk, though.
You gotta poke him a little bit.
Yeah, like the other day I met his parents, and I told them that he was on a podcast, and they're like, "What? Tommy's talking on a recording?" Like,
his parents knew what a podcast was.
Have you met them?
No.
They're nice people.
I just assume that anybody that is over the age of 20 does not know what a podcast is.
No, that's a good point. Well, we're like so over time. We should stop. How should we end this? What do you guys think? Maybe a gunfight, or do you guys want to like? Hey, you want to have an orgy on the podcast? Like we're
just gonna wrap it out. I got the beat.
When the MC came to live up the name, that's everything that I'll be saying. Y'all niggas just lame. Yo, insane with the membrane, but I ain't that guy. I'm just too fly. Yo, with a monotone voice, you don't have a choice. I just come with the illest spit, illest shit, the realest shit. Yo.
Oh, wow. The music.
Yeah.
Do you feel the music?
We felt it.
It's in my soul.
All right. This has been the Blind Map Podcast.
Blind Mass Podcast over.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to press the space bar now.